What's up, gear guys out there? This is me, Gearholic, coming at you guys with another review. And today it's going to be over the Bahco Laplander saw. The Laplander saw is really awesome, I've used it for quite some time. I've had this one for a year, and it's pretty awesome. I'll show you guys all the cool features about it and all the cool things that I've found with the actual blade itself. It's a really cool design from a really cool company. It's really funny because Bahco, I think I'm pronouncing the name of the company right. It's Bahco, I think, or at least that's how I think their name is. It's let's see, it's Bahco, Laplander saw. And this saw is pretty freaking cool. And the company Bahco has been around for quite some time. I think around the 1800s or so is when it was, the late 1800s was when it was established, and it has since been retooled and modified over the years to become what it is now, which is a tool company, and they produce a lot of outdoor tools and rugged gear and tools for indoor usage and just home tools as well. So they're really awesome, and they know what they're doing. And it's a Swedish company as well. I think that they're based out of France, though. I'm not really sure if they're based out of France, but I know that they're a Swedish company for sure. And then this I know is probably produced in Sweden. And for some reason, the Swedes just know how to they know how to make things, which is really nice. But my overall thoughts on this are pretty. It's a very reliable saw. When I say saws are one of the most useful tools you can have outdoors with you, I really do mean it. These are very, very, very useful. And I have used this one quite a bit, and I've taken it on many trips and many adventures with me, and it has served many great purposes. I think it has so many different usages. You literally can use this for pretty much anything. You can use it on, let's say, dry wood, green wood, plastic, bone, if you really needed to. Excellent for cutting firewood, for splitting, to help split wood, and then for clearing. If you had to clear like a brush path, you could also clear a path into the actual forest with this. If you're one of those kind of people. Excellent survival tool, an excellent overall knife. Overall blade, and they did an excellent job with the coatings and everything to make this thing super durable. The total overall length of the actual Laplander is 16 inches, 16 inches from tail to head, and the blade is actually 7 inches long, and then the handle is around the 9-inch mark, give or take. Those may be really rough dimensions that I just gave you guys, but those are the generic dimensions. The actual blade itself, the toothing, it's got what they call XT hard point teeth, and these teeth are it's the way in which they manufacture the teeth, which makes them razor sharp and makes them stay razor sharp for a long time. And the heating process that they do on this is really amazing. And they ground these teeth so sharp. It's quite amazing how sharp these teeth really are. And hopefully you guys can kind of see on there that I've used mine quite a bit. I've actually rubbed off the logos on the other side. There were logos and all these things right here, and I've rubbed them off since. But the coating is held up quite nicely and actually helps a lot with friction, which is really cool. The actual teeth itself, there are let's say, I think the TPI, which is teeth per inch, is 7. So there's 7 teeth per inch on this Laplander saw, and it's really great for really high high stakes precision cutting for quick strokes. This thing gets it done, and you don't have to spend much time. It's a dual stroke, so you can strike either by a push or a pull, and it's always removing material either way it's going, which means that it blows through wood really, really fast. It does have a high quality steel blade. I'm not really sure what kind of steel. And then the Swedes, they did a great job at black powder coating the entire blade with some sort of um, low friction material that really helps reduce uh, friction when you're cutting, and then also prolongs the life of the actual saw itself, which is really nice. Yeah, and like I said before, it's designed for cutting in both directions, so you can push or pull. Really nice, strong construction. The handle material, whatever they made this handle material out, is really strong stuff. It doesn't feel cheaply made or anything. And obviously, it's a saw, and I mean, obviously there are limitations to every saw. But the contours of this fit my hand really, really well, and I really do trust the reliability of the structure of this saw. So I wouldn't worry about it. It does have a little bit of play in it, and obviously this saw could have been made a lot more sturdier, just from production standards. But it suits what you're paying for. It is fine. I think this runs right in the $30 mark, so you are going to be paying a little bit more for this. For the saw, but it's a really good, reliable tool that you're going to be using outdoors. It is compact and it's lightweight, so it's compact. It's like that 9 inches, and it's not very deep at all. I think, let's see, the overall depth of the actual, it's like right at like 2 inches. It's like 2 inches wide, and that couldn't be an inch deep. So it can really slide into your backpack really easy. And since it only weighs 6.5 ounces or 190 grams, it really doesn't weigh hardly anything. And it's a very reliable tool. It's really funny because Bahco, their like little symbol is like this little fish. I think it's a fish or something. But this thing kind of looks a lot like a fish. I just kind of noticed that in the designs when they were making it. It does kind of look like a little fish if you were to hold it, you know. But it's just kind of one of those things. Whoever designed this knife, they did an excellent job at the ergonomics of it. When you're actually holding it, it feels so good in your hand, and it has a nice little rubbery. It's not rubber per se, but it is like a traction material, and it does grip your hands really well, and it makes it very easy to hold. And it's not soft, but it's durable. The whole head construction itself is obviously made of some sort of high plastic. So it is a high density plastic, and then it does have a metal bar that goes all the way through that is adjustable, so you can adjust it to a specific tightness if you want it. Mine is not super tight right now, but it's tight enough. And there is a little play back and forth and up and down. There's the tiniest bit of play up and down. But really, what you're going to be doing with this, you're not going to be trying to bend it or anything. And it is designed, I think, to flex and give, a little bit. But what you're more focused on is its pull back and forth. And when you try to pull it back and forth, there's really no like pull back and forth. And that's where it's really going to matter too. Is if it wiggles when you're pulling on it, both ways. And there's no give on it that way. So that's kind of nice. It did come with a leather lanyard, but I put a high visibility nightline rope on it, so that way I could find it in the dark if I needed to by shining a light on it. Just because it is green and black and with a black blade, and that makes it really hard to see at night if you had to use it at night. And I would say that this is a lot safer to use at night than an axe or any other sharp weapon that you're going to be swinging. When you're out in the wilderness, you don't really want to take you can take an axe with you, but you don't really want to solely rely on one tool to get all the jobs done. And if you have to constantly swing an axe, you are taking a risk of hurting yourself or cutting your leg open, or getting just severely injured, and then having to actually go back and get help if you're on your own, or having somebody else relying on somebody else to get you help. And if you're out of cell phone signal range, that's also a very bad sign. I would say, though, that the saw kind of eliminates the need for bringing large tools and things, because there's so much that it already does. Because you're not swinging a large chunk of material anywhere. You're simply sawing back and forth, and which is a lot safer of a method to process wood than an axe. but I still like carrying axes. I carry axes quite a bit. And I've done a lot of work with axes while backpacking and being outdoors, and I do really like axes. But I think a saw is also um, a really great idea to add to your kit, or your backpack, or just your survival, whatever your survival case, if as a very good backup and a very good reliable saw. The lockup on it is really cool because it's got this little button down here, and that's just the lockup, so the blade won't go anywhere when it's actually closed. You can pull on it. I mean, I'm sure you could pop that lock. Um, you can pop the lock if you tried to force this open, but it keeps it closed, and it's not going to come out at all if you tried. And then you depress the lock, and the whole thing literally falls out, and then it locks back into place. That lock re-engages into the actual saw itself, and then you just press the lock and fold it back up. And the one great thing about this saw is it's so fast to deploy. So you see that it's open, and I just press this lock, and I flip it open, and it comes right open, and then you're just ready to go. So it can be a one-handed operated saw, and that's really nice. It's really convenient. And this saw has seen a lot of love, and it's very reliable. I can't say enough about it. I do feel like the safety button does keep the blade locked, both when it's closed and when it's open, and I don't feel as if it's going to slip or break. And it's really great. It's really great, and you can choke up on it. You can choke up on it if you really need to get closer saw cuts. And even if your thumb depresses that lock, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna go anywhere as long as you're sawing relatively close to what you're doing. So it can't fold back on you, and hurt you, even if you accidentally hit that lock, because usually you're gonna be pressing down and sawing. So the lock is just there as a safety precaution, and it works really well. I don't feel like it's gonna go anywhere. And I usually always put a lanyard on there just in case, and for doing sawing. So, and I've cut a lot of stuff. I cut a really large trunk of a tree trunk one time. It was a dead tree that had fallen over, and the tree itself was wider. It was wider than the actual blade. It stuck out about an inch past where this blade was, and I just out of curiosity, just to see if I could cut through it, I tried to cut through it, and I successfully did with this saw. It did take me a lot longer, and it was very hard, and I had to kind of work all the way around the actual tree, and I had to do it in small chunks, but I finally did it. I finally going back and forth all the way through the tree, and it finally cut it, and that was pretty crazy. And it's like, I mean, the tree itself was, far bigger than, it was more than 8 inches, or maybe it was right at 8 inches, and this thing handled it very well, and I didn't feel worried at all going through it. It blasts through tiny little branches if you're out there if you want to make like a hut real quick or something, like a debris hut, or if you need to cut any kind of if you want to make like a shelter, like a covering, you could cut wood just with little saplings, just blow through those little saplings like so fast, because that dual edge where you cut, it's great, and it excels at that. It really does. Great blade, great saw, great option to have. When the calories are being counted too, you don't want to be swinging an axe and having to constantly process wood. It's a lot easier with a saw. If it's wet, then obviously, if your wood is wet, then obviously you need a saw to get to the drier parts of the wood. But this thing works really well, and I thoroughly approve of this. And I've used other saws before in the past, and this one has been the best saw that I've used so far. So good job out there. Good job to you, Bahco, for making an extremely well-made saw, and hope to have this one for quite some time and use it a lot more before it goes. So one last look at the entire saw, kind of see where I really rub those teeth. Really nice. Really nice saw. Love it. Highly recommended. All right, well that's it. That's all I got to say about the saw. Hope you guys stay safe out there, and don't cut yourselves.